Well, hello there, my friends. This is your boy, Garrett J. White, the founder of Wake Up Warrior and also the co-conspirator, chief supporter, and lead cheerleader of the DKW Styling Salon Systems. Danielle?
It's weird because one of our cameras is working if you're watching this, and one of them is not. So it looks like Garrett's talking to me in another land.
If you're listening to audio on this, which vast majority of you are, because you didn't even know you could watch the videos on this, which if you'd like to check those out, you can head to
dkwstyling.com because apparently I am now a sponsor. So I post those weekly. And you can also go to
dateyourwifenow.com, which over there you can find all the show notes, tips, tricks, questions, and challenge of the day for each one of these.
Yes.
Intense shows. We're going to be one camera, but we're going to be great audio.
What's this show about, Garrett?
To listen.
Give them a little. If they're new, give them a little sneak of what's to come, what's happened in the past, where we're at. Catch them up to speed.
I'm going to catch you up to speed. So here's the deal. We are married. We've been married for 15 years coming up this August. We're going to a trip in Europe this summer, which will be fun. First time I'm going to a trip to Europe.
I'm so excited that you're submitting to traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't ask for a lot.
I travel to Mexico, Canada, and the United States.
2 big trips a year, 2 big family trips a year. I just because Garrett works all the time, I'm like, 2 big trips. I don't care. I'm scheduling it in. If you'd like to go, just know, this is the family trip. We'd like you to be there.
We'd love you to be part of this, Garrett, if you'd like to be part of this.
We're busy. We work a ton. I don't really, yeah, 2 big trips a year. That's all I ask for.
Oh, good news. The camera is working.
Hello.
Oh, I got the iPad working. We're good to go.
Look at
there
my
you
straight
are.
hair.
I'm going to move this.
Oh, so fun.
Oh, so fun.
I never wear my hair straight. So
your hair is straight. Why did you go with the short hair
You know
today?
what? Because
you look gorgeous with the short hair. It takes me back to the original.
Short.
I mean, not just short. The straight, I mean.
You know what? I tried this new shampoo and conditioner.
Yes.
And it was ladies, when you wash your hair and you try a new product and you're like, oh, abort mission. And the product's not feeling great, but you're too deep into the blow dry to turn back now. So you just power through it. And then I was like, screw it, I'll just go straight today. And because it was just kind of
great.
A heavier product. But yeah,
Do you feel sexy?
I actually like it. I was like,
I think you look great.
Straight hair.
Yeah. You know what? Do you remember back, the very first time that you got extensions?
It's taking you back there,
It's taking me back there.
That's nice.
I used to work at the Mayan restaurant. I was a server here 17 years ago, and Danielle and I are dating, and she shows up to the Mayan restaurant.
It's so funny.
It's a Mexican restaurant. It's a wonderful restaurant. People jive off of cliffs.
Here's what's funny, though.
Okay.
It was my first set of extensions, but what you may not know about me, I wear extensions. Obviously, that's my business. But I always had, crappy hair. And I remember, when we were first dating and you'd say, why don't you grow your hair out? And I wanted to be like, I can't. It doesn't grow out.
Did I say that a lot?
I think you did.
I was a long hair guy. I loved your sassy shortness.
I know. I was like, well, clearly you like me, but you were like,
clearly.
have you ever grown your hair out? And I was like, I don't know how to tell him this because he has 3 sisters and literally they have the most amazing hair ever. Not just long, thick to the point where they're like, I have to thin this. It's so annoying. I'm like, shut the fuck up, okay? But I have crappy hair and I was like, oh yeah. So anyways, at one point, I remember I cut my hair so short when I was in hair school that it was a little bit of a...
It's a bit of a butch.
It was a manly cut. So
but you know what the good news is?
I liked it, though. I was like, I have a cute face. I can rock this. And it was so interesting. I decided to abort that mission when I was getting more compliments from girls than guys. So I was like, meh. And I was like, I don't know. And then Garrett's roommates were asking me what team I played for. And then I was like, oh, damn it. Okay. But anyways, back to the story.
Did anyone actually ask if you're a lesbian?
People don't come straight out and say that.
No one asks you if you're a lesbian.
I don't think I give off that energy. But
there was an
nothing
implied,
against that. But
are you a lesbian?
I don't know, but it was short. Let's just say it was 2 inches, all the way around. It was.
It was a little short.
I used guy hair product. Okay, it was.
You did.
Interesting.
You were spiking.
And then I remember I grew it out long enough, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try these extension things. And I ended up putting synthetic hair in, and it was super gross, and it looked not that great. But I was like, oh my god, I just spent so much money. I have to rock these for a bit. And I remember Garrett, I
was at the Mayan.
Yeah, he was working. And
yes, I was.
Continue the story.
And in walks a goddess of love.
It was
light,
the ugliest
with
extensions
long
ever,
extensions,
and he loved
they
it.
were super straight.
Yeah.
And they were long. And I didn't even notice like the line of your actual hair. I just noticed how long and straight.
This is just to give you guys a visual. Like I had short blonde hair, and the girl who did them put in long, straight, brownish, greenish, blondish, synthetic hair. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't even know. And
you could see them everywhere.
That's when I knew you loved me. When you
well, I was I was in love with you. All right, so let's get to the topic of today's show. So listen, we here in the Date Your Wife podcast, our focus is very simple. It's a couple things. One, we're here to talk as a couple, two producers who are married, who have children, about the dynamics of being married and having children and building businesses, and also living the Warrior's Way, which is our second sponsor for this show, even though I get requests to sponsor this show about every other day from individuals who'd like to pitch their shit to you guys. But guess what? We're just going to pitch our own shit. So head on over to warriorbook.com, where you can learn more about the King's Kit, or you can head to
DKWStylingSalon.com.
Salon.com.
Yeah, did you
not
added
know?
The
salon?
I have two sites. Did you know that?
No.
DKW Styling is like my blog. I love fashion, lifestyle, hair tips, whatever. I put the podcast there. But my real producing site is DKWStylingSalon.com.
I had no idea.
It's a good one.
I love that you're building some stuff that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
All right, so every week we talk about a different topic here, driven by the Warrior's Way to having it all. The topic that we start off our four-part series is always on sex. Now, unfortunately for those who are tuning in, who had such a great time listening to our sex talk last time, we're not going to go there again, at least the whole show. I always go there every show. So, ladies, gentlemen, sit back and relax. We're going to go there again today.
Let's do it.
The second conversation we move to is the topic of money, which is actually the focus of our conversation today. The third topic we go to is communication, and the third topic is parenting, and the fourth topic is communication. So if you're following the show, you're going back and listening, you'll notice a trend here. We go sex, we go money, we go parenting, we go communication, we start back over with sex.
But money matters.
But money matters. Why does money matter to you?
Those who say money doesn't matter are full of shit, because honestly, money, like for us, when we didn't have a ton of money, or we had it and then we lost it, like it definitely put a stress on the relationship. And so, and then it, like, if you have a ton of money, you may become complacent and not, like, I don't know, like you may be too much in the comfort zone. I don't know, but money definitely, I believe that money is here on this earth, in this world, whatever, as a tool. It's a very important tool, and obviously it's the biggest tool because it's like it helps us like learn and grow. You know what I mean? It's like the one thing that kind of, you make it or break it.
Okay, so money actually matters as a topic, but the tough thing about money mattering is being married and having money matter and being able to get on the same page when it comes to money in general. Now, we have had a lot of conversation around the topics of money, but we're going to have a different conversation about money today. Are you ready to have a different conversation about money today?
I am, and I also have a couple funny stories.
Well, if you don't know what the topic is, would you like to start with the stories?
I already have stories.
All right, I'd like you to start with the stories.
No, tell me the topic, and
All right,
I'll see if I can loop
it in. I'll tell you the topic. All right,
the
topic is money is spiritual.
Oh, that's not good.
Nope, not going to be a good segue.
Let me create a topic.
Tell your stories, and then you can add a topic, and I'll blend it into this.
My topic is money is bullshit. No, I just said it was important. Money, I don't know, but I just have some funny stories.
Well, listen, this is why we said tell your funny stories, and then we'll continue with the topic, because this literally is going to matter, I promise.
So I own a salon, and I still work behind the chair. I only take on like 4 to 6 clients a week. I work 2 days a week. I genuinely love my job. I love connecting with people. I love having a skill that I'm good at, and I can
You're great at it.
I love it. Like, people will say all the time, like, are you going to stop doing hair? I'm like, for right now, I really love it. So, no. But anyways, I deal with a lot of women, and we it's like a fun vibe. It's a small boutique salon out of Laguna Beach, California, and it's so funny, like the conversations and the energy and everything that goes down. And oftentimes we have like some real truthful girl talk going on down there.
Truthful talk happening.
Some truth with DKW styling.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I had a particular girl who sat in my chair, and she had actually been following me for a while, and then she finally booked. And so she'd kind of listened to the podcast, and like I feel like I can tell when somebody's been listening, and it's like they come in like they know me, and they're kind of like laughing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm kind of embarrassed. Like,
yes.
I'm trying to keep like this professional like persona, which I am professional on the podcast, but I also am very real. So I she sits down and I'm like, shit. And sometimes I'm like so busy that I'm like, haha, yeah, that was a funny podcast, but I'm like just really trying to focus on the hair. Anyways, we're having some real girl talk, and we were talking about how like her and her husband are actually in a business together. They have a carpet cleaning business.
Okay.
And she's like expressing like her husband was like mad at her because she was doing all the bills and all the bookkeeping and all this, and he's like, you're failing, you're not doing it, like, da, da, da. And she's like you can't even hire somebody out right now because you don't know what to tell them to do. So basically, I'm the one that's in control of telling them what to do, and you're telling me I'm doing a bad job. And I was just like, oh my God. And it reminded me like when I used to like pay the bills all the time.
Yeah, that was
like for 10 years.
Yeah.
And every time I would pay the bills,
I would tell you where you were wrong.
You were telling me I was wrong, or you'd get so bugged that something was late. You were like, this is fucking late. And I was like, I didn't know, and I didn't even know how to like. I like would feel so bad, but I was like, I don't care. Hire somebody to do the bills. That was always my response. Is like hire somebody to do the bills. And oftentimes in relationships, like I think with men and women, for some reason, like men provide and women do the details, and I'm not detail oriented.
No.
Like I'm visually detail oriented.
Yes.
I'm not factual detail oriented at all. In fact, so much information. If you give me too much information, it bogs me down, and I'm like, oh, and I implode. I shut down, and I'm like, I can't do it. And so, like, for somebody who that is not my strength or my role, and you would pass it to me, I was like, I don't know. And so one of the biggest things in our relationship that like literally helped our marriage is when you're like, I'm gonna take over the bills, and I was like, thank God. I was like, I don't even know. I'm not Catholic, but I just feel like doing that.
That was nice. You did a little crucifix.
But it was like I just couldn't handle it anymore. And you finally you took charge of the bills. And it's funny because I think you're a lot like me in the sense that you're not really detailed either. We're both very like, just go get shit done.
Yes.
Like we don't like stop to think
Facts
sometimes.
And details
Facts
and
and
follow-up,
details.
not my thing.
But because we're both like quick starts, we've both learned to kind of delegate, I guess, that. And I think that was the first time you kind of I remember you were kind of paying the bills, and I was like, the bills are late. The bills are late, babe. And you were like, ah, and you had like no foot to stand on. And then
I had no
I'm pretty
foot
sure
to stand
now
on.
you have Jeff or somebody help with that.
No,
but
I handle shit. I got teams and I'm myself. I handle shit.
So that's my funny story. That's
okay,
my funny story.
It's a legitimate story. I'm going to ask you a question that's going to loop us back to sex.
Let's go with the spiritual. Is sex? I thought we were talking about spiritual
no,
money.
No, we'll get to spiritual in a second.
Let's talk about spiritual sex and money.
I like it. Spiritual sex is coming up next. But here is the question I have for you. Did you, when I took on paying the bills and managing all of that nonsense,
you know what?
Did you find yourself more
attracted
or
to you?
less?
Absolutely.
You did. Tell us more. Tell us more about feeling more attracted because I took that shit on. Go.
Because I was like, be the fucking man.
Ooh. Be that fucking man.
No, I just was like... That was aggressive.
I was aggressive and I loved it.
You know
Turn
what?
me
Because
on.
I just kind of like thought I'm cool to like take my role, but like I feel like you expected a lot of times in relationships.
I wanted you to be perfect.
A lot
at paying
of
the
times
bills.
in relationships, guys expect their wives to be the woman, right? Correct?
Yes.
But yet they demand them to do these jobs that aren't necessarily...
That are dude jobs.
That are kind of a dude job. Not to say that's one job or another, but I just think that if we demand that you pay the bills, or you provide, but then we have to pay the bills, it just seems like it should go one and one. I don't know. Or you should hire somebody to pay the bills or something. But the roles are like not... Sometimes they contradict one another, I guess you could say. So it's like interesting with your partner. If you expect him to, even for me, like if I expect Garrett to show up like the man, I better treat him like the man, and I have to submit in so many areas. If he expects me to act like the woman, then he has to kind of like take away those manly responsibilities and treat me like the woman.
Yes.
And even though we're both very powerful people, you have to own that in a relationship or it doesn't work. If there's no chemistry, there's no spark. I genuinely believe like in any relationship that you have to have that like feminine and masculine energy that mixes in a good way. Not to say that you don't have feminine and masculine energies and that I don't have feminine and masculine energies, but in a relationship, somebody has to find that balance of man and woman. Now, I'm not really sure where this counteracts into money, so I'm going to swing it over to you and see where you go.
Oh, you know I am the master of the reframe, spinning it, my friends. All right, so like here's the deal. Like money itself can create attraction, like in big ways. Like we're all attracted to money. Like, I don't give a shit who you are. At some level, you are attracted to money. And you may not be attracted to money for the love of money, but you're attracted to what money can create as a possibility. And that requires us to be absolutely on point with detail. So men will come to me with situations, and they're sitting there with this game, and they're like, my wife is not attracted to me. My wife is not attracted to me. My wife is not attracted to me. And I was like, I'm hearing you. And then so let me ask you a few questions. So we go around and we take what I call the walk the block around the core four. Body, being, balance, business. We walk around this block and we look at what the reality of life is. And inevitably, we find a situation 9 out of 10 times that a man inside of that relationship is not getting the bills taken care of, okay? Or the man is expecting their wife to cover the gap financially on the gap that they've created as a producer. Now, here is the challenge. As a man, if you are not getting it done financially inside of your relationship, you cannot demand attraction. Why? Woman wants to feel safe. She wants to feel secure. She wants to be taken care of. Even if she is a producer, at the core, this is what she desires. As a man, if you do not take on the realm of being the king of production in your house, you end up finding yourself in a position where attraction dies. Now, there are some couples where the wife outproduces the man over and over and over and over again, and I get it. They figured out that dynamic. But that is not the general rule. 99% of the time, you're going to find the opposite, which means a man creating money, creating it by producing value in the marketplace, is ultimately setting himself up for deeper levels of attraction. It's not everything, but it is a piece of it. Part of this comes down to your willingness to take on the bullshit, the stuff that is required when it comes to money. My wife didn't want to deal with paying the bills, but I also didn't want to be stressed out with the bills so I could just focus on production. That was my story. The truth was I would get yelled at my wife about not getting on the phone with the insurance company, but I had to ask myself a question. Do I want my wife to get on the phone and be burned out and exhausted, fatigued and stressed out by dealing with the insurance company, and then burn up all of her sexual energy for me in creative frustration with the insurance company over the phone? No. The answer was no. Yet for most of my relationship in the first 10 years, I expected my wife to be the man when it came to managing the money. My job was to make the money. Well, what did I see in my house growing up? What I saw in my house growing up was my mother at home managing the money and my dad rarely around making the money. So my dad would make the money and give the money to my mom. My mom would take care of the money and she would make it work. And that was all I knew. So when I got married, guess what I expected? I expected you to pay the bills because that's what my mom did.
But, like, I feel like both of our moms were kind of manly at some level.
They both were manly. They both are still manly.
You know?
But that's not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I think that my dad and your dad both had a difficult time being the man because they were married to such aggressive, powerful women.
That probably happens in a lot of relationships is like the girl's like, be the man, and the guy's like, be the woman, and yet they're giving each other responsibilities and duties that like polarize that energy and like make it not affect. They can't do that. They're like, why don't we have that spark? And you're like, because you put on the dude shoes. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Or like, you're being a fucking pussy. Like, man up. I don't know what to tell you. And that was. Again,
do you know what I enjoy? That you've done more in the last year? Make some dinner. You don't make it a lot, but occasionally you do, even when it's an egg burrito.
You know what?
I enjoy it. Do you know why I like it? Because I like that you did it for me.
But I always do that. That's something I've always done. Like, and it's probably been ingrained because that's how my mom is. Like, I remember like I'd come home from like college and my mom was like, "Oh, sit down, let me make you food."
Yes, your mom is amazing.
And that's kind of how I am. Like, Garrett works late sometimes, and like he'll come home and I've already fed the kids and I fed myself, and he's like, "I'm tired," and I'm like, "Oh, I'll get you something. Do you want a grilled?" It's nothing big.
But
it's
you
like,
didn't do that for a while. Now you do though. No, the last year and a half to 2 years you have, and it turns me on.
I was like, "Screw you, buddy."
Yeah, you were.
Make
but
your own
the
damn
last
eggs.
2 years, you have started making me food like that, and it's like me paying the bills.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he's paying the bills. Thank you for opening all those envelopes. That was me last night. I was going through all the envelopes. Were you turned on by this?
No.
That I was going through all the envelopes?
Actually, when I see you go through the envelopes, I like tiptoe upstairs. I'm like,
yeah, because I'm super fucking pissed.
Yeah,
I hate dealing with it.
Nobody likes paying the bills, but I'm always like, oh, it's good it's you, not me. No. But here's another funny story. So I'm sitting there. My daughter had surf camp this last week, and it's a bunch of like cute little 18-year-olds that coach them. And it's so funny because Bailey is always like our little eavesdropper, and she goes, Mom, it was so funny. I was listening to all the coaches, and they were like saying like what they were looking for in a man, and they're 18, and they were like, he's got to be blonde hair, he's got to be blue eyes, he needs to be tall, he needs to surf, and he needs a job. Like that was like a main like, and so it's so funny because even at like that age of being 18, like basically to me that says like he needs a job because I want to be taken care of. And right, like that's
Right.
attractive to a woman, is like a man that can show up and take care of her. And I just think that it was in that moment when she said that to me that I realized what that's so like DNA like bred for just women in general. Like we want to be taken care of, like somebody in the relationship wants to be taken care of, you know? So I was just like,
It's in there. I mean, I like this is like I think a really hard topic for guys to grip. At a certain level, gentlemen, you have to admit and submit to a reality. Are you ready for this reality? Are you ready to hear this?
I have a question after this, but go.
Okay. You have to submit to the fact that at a certain level, you are an ATM machine.
It's going to trigger, guys.
This was really fucking hard for me. Like, I was super pissed about this concept, and I would not accept this, that my job was to get paid, that my job was to make money to provide for the family, whatever that looked like. I'm not talking about having to have, millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on where you live in the world and what your game is. Like that, not the numbers and the commas and the decimal points and the number, like that is irrelevant. It's totally customized to you. But at the end of the day, as a man, part of your role as a man is to get paid, to produce a lifestyle for your family that produces safety and security and the possibility of experiencing and growing life. Now, the moment that I submitted to this, things changed radically. That's when I also took on the bills, because I was like, why do I continue to assume that Danielle is supposed to do this shit? Like, where did this happen? Well, it was very easy. It was what I was role modeled at home. In our home now, our daughters only know one thing. Dad manages the bills. Dad gets paid. Dad runs the businesses. Now, they see their mom doing it too. But they also have come to terms with the fact that I deal with the details of almost all of it.
I think it's hard too, because as a woman who is working herself, like you have to kind of you do have that masculine role that you play, which
and you have to have it, though.
And you have to. But I also think that is very attractive to men.
Super attractive.
Like you were telling me the other day on our last date night, you're like, guys, like they want like a woman, but they want a woman who can like also like own herself and like be. I don't know exactly what you said, but
we want you to submit and be a woman, but at the same time, we kind of like it if you punch us in the face.
Well, and
it's a little bit of it's like a dual turn on. It's
right.
like I want to mentally be challenged by you to the point that I'm fucking pissed.
But
at the same time, I want you to submit as a woman.
But I think that's hard in a relationship, especially if you work together, because you kind of have to put on those masculine shoes or whatever you want to call it, and then it's like you have to. And for us, it's like. I'll notice when we're talking business, I get less triggered and I have to be like, okay. And then I'll be like, it's cool. And then it's like when we're on date night, it's like I have different hats and different roles and different boxes. And I have to really focus on like, okay, Garrett and I are in work box right now.
Yep.
And work box cannot carry over into date night box. And you can't like collide. Even on date night, if we do talk about work, if it starts to go like, we usually talk about on date night, like it's positive work stuff.
Yeah.
If it goes like negative in any way,
sometimes it goes there,
but it doesn't as much anymore.
No, not as much anymore.
I remember when we were like not in as good of a place as we are now. We would talk about work, and it would always snowball into something crazy. And so, for me personally, like as a wife and as a mom and as a business owner, I've had to learn to I can't say that word. Compartmentalize. There we go. Where it's like mom hat, business hat, this and that and that. And I think that's like the best way to go about things in a relationship is own like every side of you, but know how to put on each hat when needed, I guess you could say. And then for us, that really has created that attraction factor like back in our life. And I think that we like naturally did that when we were dating and we met and whatnot. And then it's like you get married and you have kids and like you're just managing a lot of shit that you have to take on these other roles that maybe you didn't have to do, or the bills or money or whatever. And things get stressful and you can't like compartmentalize anymore, and all of a sudden it's like one big fucking slur and you're like rah! And so it's important to just like understand like, okay, this is a side of me and I need to own that in this situation and then move on. Okay, now I'm gonna be a wife, now I'm gonna be this, because forever I think I'd even like be so pissed at you with work and this and that, and I'd like hold sex back and I do this then that didn't really serve me. And so now I'm like, this is we talk about business here, we can have sex here, we can have a date night here, and everything, we're family time here, and everything is just like a different situation. And it like has taken me, and I don't know if you do this, but it like takes me into like training myself like, hey, we're in this role right now, okay, we're in this role right now. And I find myself, if I do that, I get less triggered about stupid shit, and I'm able to like operate on a much healthier level.
That's why I leave my cell phone turned in.
But we actually have to go.
Okay.
So we need to finalize. This was kind of a money conversation.
No, it was completely a money conversation.
Was it? Okay.
What are you talking about? At the end of the day, I said we were going to talk about money is spiritual. It is spiritual.
I think you were looking for a topic, and you said spiritual,
I was not.
and then I derailed us.
Wait, you did take it somewhere else, but it was a perfect topic because here's the final thought on this is the following.
Okay.
Anytime that a man and woman connect inside a marriage, it is spiritual. It is an unseen attraction that exists. Attraction is not something physical that we touch. It's something inside of us that we feel. Even inside of sex, you can have hollow sex that has no connection. Energy inside of a relationship when you're married is connection. And anytime there's connection, there's spirituality. And money creates the opportunity for you to experience deeper levels of connection, both in the making of it, the maintaining of it, and the creating of a life with it. So, gentlemen, money matters.
I like that.
Money
it does.
is spiritual.
It's a tool. I've always thought of like money matters. Like I've always thought of it as like it's a tool to obviously learn something here. You know what I mean?
I do.
Figuring it out. One world, one lifetime at a time.
One world at a time.
One world at a time.
Different galaxies. All right, we're going to wrap this show up. Thanks so much for being here. A couple of reminders here as we end this show. If you want access to the show notes from today's show as well as the video version of this show, you can head on over to dateyourwifenow.com. Also, our two title sponsors of this podcast, not anyone outside of organizations, but our actual organizations, warriorbook.com or thekingskid.com, where you can check out more about the Warrior's Way and the brotherhood that is stretching around the globe. Over 12,000 men in 27 countries would love to have you part of that. Or you can head on over to...
You can head over to dkwstyling.com, the blog, or DKW Styling Salon to find out more about natural beauty row hair extensions. If you love my hair, you can find out more, and you can even fly down and come see me in Laguna Beach, California.
The end. We love you guys. Hope you have a great week. We'll look forward to having you next week. Next week, I go to Costa Rica for a week of surfing.
Same.
I almost said snurfing. A week of surfing. You are not going to Costa Rica. I'm going by myself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great week. We're signing off. We'll talk to you next week.